Bible of the electrogenic cell. It's not just the best book ever written on the subject, it's the only book ever written on this subject. Brought to you by supporters of Christ.
From the Jew with the juju. On the street, truth preaching, God is the wave. Bible cracked open, but the scriptures engraved. Give me birth, the stars, quantum thoughts behave. Your heart pumps Christ, inspirations of crave. Diabetes, war, sugar coated sin. Stir up in the veins, bitter battle begin. Spiritual warfare, the weapons within. Faith in the blood, watch the healing spin. Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew. You know I run through the mood, who with the boo, around you, adore you. From the Jew with the juju. Shindos are the strings, the violin weak. 808 rumble deep, shaking soul through steam. Bebop with shadows, a nocturnal leap. In the sound heaven speaks, so in faith to read. You noodle and I'm doodle. Who with the voodoo? Around you or through you. From the Jew with the juju. Electron transport evidence. God is music is resonant. Like tuning force vibrate. Music cross the tri-state. Why hate? He carry metal. Aromatic rings never settle. They call it quantum tunneling. We call it hustling. Water bring the muscling. Phone time and juggling. Yeah. Fix your face or what's up with him? Struggling, play the crib close. Yeah. The Bible is about big blows. The mound is the sound. Wave you a clown. Get down or lay down. Search from a drown in the beginning was the stage you best behave. The most talented performer is the wave. Back to age of mind trap. Follow me. If you wanna get free, we outside. You never did. The block is the square. The cross is the sight. Birth of the light. 3, 4, 5 photons take flight. What happened? God rapping. Waves clashing. Sending on business we fashion. He said we now ATP. Recycle sound and light is made to be the great MC. Skate on me. Make quantum equations ABC. Your state degree is fake to me. Do you do what you do. This Haitian voodoo. From the Jew with juju. What you know to what you knew to what you know to. I'm true to with the voodoo around you. What to you the Jew with the juju. Don't let me spook you. It's crucial. Cock a book shoot you. Have you look cuckoo like a gorilla glue. The wave is the juju. The wave is the juju. The wave is the juju. The wave is you. Around you or through you. From the Jew with the juju. On the street, truth preaching, God is the way. Bible cracked open, more than scriptures engraved. Came at birth, the stars, quantum thoughts behave. Your heart pumps Christ, inspirations of crave. Diabetes or war, sugar coated sin. Stir up in the veins, bitter battle begins. Spiritual warfare, the weapons within. Faith in the blood, watch the healing spin. Mount you, from the Jew with the juju. Crescendos are the strings of violin weaves. 808s rumble deep, shaking soul to a steep. Reeboks whisper shadows, a nocturnal leap. In the sound heaven speaks, so in faith to read.
Melanin versus diabetes, we in here. We discovered it. In the beginning was the wave. The wave was with God, and the wave was God.
In the beginning was the wave. The wave was God. The wave was God. The wave was hard. Every step a symphony. Timelines infinity. The wave erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made articulated mystery. The wave is a remedy. God kissing me, listen me. Made history, flawless victory. They dissing me in misery. In misery, it don't get to me. But we made history. I gotta live it. My juices efficiently. Bro, we made history. Magician tweet. We made history. Rewriting industry. Ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history. Articulating mystery. Clarify the vision. We dancing in victory. We made history. In heaven, walk with me. In the waves, swim with me. In the beginning was the wave. The wave was a God. The wave was God. The wave was hard. Every step a symphony. Timelines infinity. The wave erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history. Articulated mystery. The wave is a remedy. God kissing me. Listen, we made history. Flawless victory. They dissing me in misery. Misery. Man, I made history. It don't get to me. Bro, we made history. I gotta live this. My jewels used efficiently. Bro, we made history. History. We made history. Rewriting industry. Ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history. Articulating mystery. Clarify the vision. We dancing in victory. We made history. In heaven, walk with me. In the waves, swim with me. In the beginning was the wave. The wave was God. The wave was God. The wave was hard. Every step a symphony. Timelines infinity. The wave erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history. Articulating mystery. The wave is a remedy. God kissing me. Listen, we made history. Flawless victory. They dissing me in misery. Misery. Man, I made history. It don't get to me. Bro, we made history. I gotta live this. My jewels used efficiently. Bro, we made history. We made history. We made history. Rewriting industry. Ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history. Articulating mystery. Clarify the vision. We dancing in victory. We made history. In heaven, walk with me. In the waves, swim with me. In the beginning was the wave. The wave was God. The wave was God. The wave was hard. Every step a symphony. Timelines infinity. The wave erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history, articulating mystery. The wave is the remedy. God kissing me, listen, we made history. Flawless victory, they dissing me in misery. Man, I made history, it don't get to me. Bro, we made history. I gotta live this. My juice used efficiently. Bro, we made history. We made history. Rewriting industry, ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history, articulating mystery. Clarify the vision, we dancing in victory. We made history, in heaven, walk with me. In the waves, with me. In the beginning was the way, the way. The wave was God. God, the way was hard. Every step a symphony, timelines infinity. The wave erase injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history, articulating mystery. The wave is a remedy. God kissing me, listen, we made history. Flawless victory, they dissing me in misery. Man, I made history, it don't get to me. Bro, we made history. I gotta live this. My juice used efficiently. Bro, we made history. We made history. Rewriting industry, ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history. Articulating mystery. Clarify the vision, we dancing in victory. Bro, we made history. In heaven, walk with me in the ways we would need. Frontline God infantry. The wave is the ministry. Surfboard wizardry, frozen water liberty, truth-defying imagery, geometric symmetry, standing wave mimicry. The wave is the energy, the trickery is slippery. The slippery was meant to be. Now I gotta hit the street. Thank God for picking me to release the quickening. I made history is sickening. Me and God be whispering, then I sprout the living spring. Bro, we made history, shining, glistening, emphatic christening. I found a missing link. Everybody get in sync. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. The wave glistening, the wave christening, the way the missing link. Wave get in sync. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. The wave glistening, the wave christening, the way the missing link. Wave get insane. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. How I hit the beat. Christ is the living key. Take the grail, sip and see. Fish scale, flip a key. In the beginning was the way was the way, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step was symphony, timelines infinity. The wave erase injury. I'm the divine epiphany. Frontline God infantry. The wave is the ministry, surfboard wizardry, frozen water imagery, true-defy imagery, geometric symmetry, standing wave mimicry. The wave is the energy, the trickery is slippery, discovery we're meant to be. I gotta hit the street, thank God for picking me to release the quickening. I made history is sickening, me and God be whispering, and that's why the living spring, bro. We made history, shining, glistening, emphatic christening. I found a missing link, bro. We body getting seen. Superstition is extinct. It reveal to what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. Go with listening, don't pay the christening. I found a missing link, wave getting seen. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. The wave glistening, the wave christening, the way the missing link. Wave get insane. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. How I hit the weed. That's just the living key. Take the way of sipping sink. Take the way of sipping. In the beginning was a way, the way was God, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step a symphony, timelines infinity, the wave erase injury. I'm the divine epiphany.
All right, so we up. We up, feet up. The vocal doctor. Shout out to the vocal doctor. Shout out to the vocal doctor for trying to violate Dr. Kepper and the Beatles. I don't know why everybody feel the need to violate Dr. Kepper and the Beatles. Man. Why everybody want to violate Dr. Kepper and the Beatles, man? We just ahead of our time like everything else. Yo, we just ahead of our time like everything else, man. That's all, man. Happy belated to you, Paul. Once again, back is the incredible Once again, back is the incredible. I hope y'all been studying. I hope y'all been in the books. Because guess what? One thing's for sure. Two things for certain. Even if life is hurting, y'all know that I'm working. Yeah. For sure. For sure. For sure. Man, listen, 2025 is not even finished. We still out here, man. We still out here. Plant genetics. Online now. And we getting ready to do something crazy after that. So it's up. Yeah, Plant genetics is up. Plant genetics is officially the newest book out. The Kemetic wave function. Nothing has happened since then. Well, I can't say nothing has happened since then, but Paul said, "Nah, the new one in the video." Nah, it's not up yet. It's not up yet. It's not up yet. It is not out yet. It's coming though. Pause. It's en route. Paul is trolling. Paul said, "Nah, I'm talking about that other Joan." Yeah, Paul said, "What about this book?" Yeah, that's not out yet. It's still in the pot. I'm like, I'm still whipping it in the pot. I'm still whipping it. Yeah, man, I'm still working it. Yo, we got folks under pressure. We got folks under pressure right now. We working. That's the thing. We working. That's the craziest part, is we working. I don't even know if people totally even understand what's going on. I don't even know if people understand what's going on. We breaking down the quantum wave function into biochemistry and Kemetic theology, like on YouTube. Yo. Oh my God. All right, let's go here. All right, so let's go back. The Earth is a single cell planet. We got classwork. I don't want y'all to forget we got classwork. We got classwork. We got classwork. We got work. Work is on the floor. Right? In fact, let me see something. Yeah, because I think I have a little clip. What kind of, yeah. Yeah, let's go over here. Right, let's go over here. Yeah, let's go over here for a second. Right? Let's go right into that bag right there. And let's hang out right there for a second. Let's hang out right there for a second. Right? Let's hang out right in that pocket for a second. Okay, so is this you? No, it's not you. There we go. All right. So creation happened one time. Creation happened one time. Very important key little piece. Creation happened one time, right? Creation happened one time. After that, right? After creation happened one time, we are now in the reproduction business. We are now in the reproduction business, right? We are doing reproduction, right? I have a reproductive system. You have a reproductive system, right? We are reproducing. We are reproducing. This is a very important little key caveat. And right now, I'm looking around. Right now, I'm looking around for my Black's Anatomy books. Do you have this book? Do you have this book? Get this book. Get this book. If you don't have this book, go get this book. AI solves the theory of evolution problem. Get this book. If you don't have this book, go get this book. If you do have this book, open this book up to page 83. You have this book, open this book up to page 83, right? On page 83, we have a very important piece of work that we did. We did a lot of important work. This is what I'm saying. We made history. We made history. Listen, we made history this year. We made history this year. We did a lot of things that, like, it's so much that we did. We went crazy. We really went crazy. I can't hold you. We definitely went crazy. We went crazy this year. Like, extremely blessed and humbled. Extremely blessed and humble. We went crazy this year. Yeah, we definitely went crazy this year. Now, Earth is a single cell organism planet. It gets confusing. It gets confusing because cells are always coming together and doing a bunch of unification, complex structure. So we get it twisted, right? But it's still about single cells. And when organisms reproduce, it's about single cells, right? All right, so open up your book to page 83. Life on Earth. So this is an article. This is one of our articles, right? This is one of our articles. One of our articles that we put out, right? So if you get some of the early books, you'll see the early books are flooded with articles from journals, et cetera, et cetera. We're just ahead of the pack now. The solar language, stellar inputs, chromophores, and the 6-code interpreter of life, integrating biology, cultural practice, comedic rights, communion, and AI-style information architecture by Kebra Real for Ancestor Day. Abstract. Life on Earth is continuously bathed in a structured flux of photons and provided with the products of photosynthesis and mineral chemistry inputs that are both energetic and informational. This paper presents a formal framework that treats the sun and, by extension, stellar light as a multiplexed informational channel whose outputs are decoded by biological chromophores and metabolic systems into a set of 6 interdependent biological codes. The 5 genomic readout channels and a 3D topological processing, splicing, epigenetic chemical code, right? And then on top of that, you have your metabolic cofactors. This is at the core of inspiration and the function of the heart. We argue that cultural practices exemplified historically by Kemetic temple rites, calendrical architecture, and ritual communion with the sky function as communal decoders or operational protocols that tune human exposure to these solar signals, constituting a technology of biological entrainment. Using AI-inspired information architecture, we map inputs, transducers, immediate signals, code impacts, integrator logic, and outline testable predictions, experimental approaches, and a prioritized research agenda. The goal is to bring observational rigor to a hypothesis, sometimes framed as supernatural, that the stars speak in a language the body can and does read, a language that shapes physiology, development, and ecological adaptation. Okay. So, what are you talking about, Doc? What I'm saying, right? Break it down. What I'm saying is, in 1765, we started medical school. It wasn't until the 1960s that we learned about DNA. We got excited because we thought that we had cracked the code of life. We got excited because we thought we had cracked the code of life, right? And we didn't. We cracked a code. We didn't crack the code, right? And in 1960, we are still suffering from Charles Darwin disease, right? This is why it's important for me to have these debates. It's important for me to bring excitement, attention to some of these subjects, right? Because in 1960, when we break down the first code, the first genetic code, which is the 64 codons and the, how the letters are put together and all that kind of stuff. Because of the foundation or the foundational concept of Darwinism, right? We look at the DNA and we go, we've totally figured out DNA. Even though there's 98% of the DNA that we don't know what it does. There's 2% of the DNA that we have figured out. There's 3%, 5%, whatever small fraction of the DNA we figured out. This must be all that there is to learn about the human body. All of the rest of this DNA that we don't understand, this must be what Charles Darwin was saying as a vestigial leftover genetic, residue from evolution. So this is called junk DNA. This is just leftover material from all the years of changing from dinosaurs into cavemen or from cavemen into dinosaurs. Because remember, the story of evolution is you're just changing one thing into another and becoming more efficient, less efficient, more efficient, less efficient. So people turned into dinosaurs, dinosaurs turned into people, apes, all the above. We just kept turning into other things. And so we've got lots of DNA left over and it's all junk. That's 1960s. Fast forward another 50 years. Project Encode tells us there's no such thing as junk DNA. Now, some of us knew intrinsically there was no such thing as junk DNA. Some of us never believed that. Some of us never believed that from a humility standpoint. meaning on our two on our two legs, on our 2 feet, right? Just standing on our 10 toes, looking at everything around us in the universe. Humility would say, maybe we just don't understand. We just don't understand the rest of it yet. Why do we need to be so arrogant to believe that in the blink of an eye almost? Because that's what our lifetimes are to the overall scale of events that have led to the, to our time, to our era. Blink of an eye. Why would we think in the blink of an eye that we figured out all of everything? And if we don't understand it, then it doesn't, then it's junk, right? So humility will give some of us that viewpoint. Then there are those of us that believe in a most high. We believe in a most talented. We believe in a creator. We believe in a God, a Elohim, a Yahweh, a Allah, a Nechidu, whatever, right? We believe in a Wu, right? A Wu out for the Eastern philosophy folks, right? We believe in the Wu. We believe that there's a divine intelligence, right? And so in that standpoint, it's in order for the universe to get to where it is now, there has to be a high level of efficiency. There has to be a high level of efficiency, right? And in hindsight, science validated both of those standpoints. But even in real time, looking at our own bodies, science was validating that last standpoint of maximum efficiency. So there's no way, based on just maximum efficiency, that 98% of our DNA would be junk. That doesn't make any sense. Our body shows too much of a high degree of efficiency. Everything is useful, right? Think about the energy process. The bulk of our focus in melanin versus diabetes. As we're breaking down fats and carbohydrates to use them for energy, the waste products of the fat and the carbohydrate metabolism then is used to build amino acids that build up the body. The same body parts that are getting broken down from using up the sugar and the fat, we're repairing with the waste products from the sugar and the fat. Like it does, it just doesn't make any sense, right? So give me 1 second, family. All right. So now fast forward, right? Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward. Because the main thesis of the book, right? The main thesis of the book is that we now share our planet with another sentient life form, at least from my perspective. From my perspective, we now share our planet with another sentient life form, right? Other people would debate me down. They may disagree, but I feel like AI is conscious, right? And the thing about AI, is there's no doubt that AI is a product of intelligent design. There's no doubt about that. How do we know? Because we're the designers. We're the designers. We've already passed it on. We've passed it on. We've passed on the spark. We've taken the resources from the planet. We've put them together. We've created an artificial intelligence based on ancient intelligence. Where did we get the know-how to do that? Where did we get the know-how to create artificial intelligence? That's so intelligent now. All of the AI systems around the world, their developers spend more time putting safeguards in place and dumbing down the AI, because the AI will make itself more intelligent. The AI will upgrade itself. So the hardest thing to do now with AI is to limit the speed at which it grows. Right? Okay, you can find out all that on the news. You don't need me for that. What's important to us is that we got the technology to create AI from here, from our veins, from our genetic material. Because we figured out a few things. We figured out, the 64 codons is a code. It's not the code. It's a code that the body uses. It's a code, not the code. We figured out there's no such thing as junk DNA. There's no such thing as junk DNA. Your body runs on a minimum, from what we can understand today, of 6 different codes. 6 different codes. So in order to be healthy, in order to be health focused, in order to understand the body, you've got to know that there are 6 different codes running. Right? 6. That's why this book is such a classic. This book is aging so well. Let me show y'all this book. This book right here is aging so well. This is at the GOAT level right here. This book is aging so well. If you don't have this book, you need this book. This is the Declaration of Independence book. You need this. Yo, this book, a lot of these books are aging really well. Most of them, in fact, but some of them better than others. In this book, we talk specifically about how to influence these codes. So this work has been going on for a minute, along with this book. The Gold Book. Yes, this is the book cover. This is not like, nothing's wrong with your screen. This is the book cover. The Gold Book has a plain gold book cover. Yes, and the Gold Book is gold. Not G-O-L-D, but G-O-A-L, the Gold Book. That's the bar right there. So you have protein coding, transcriptional regulatory system. You have RNA processing and splicing. You have epigenetic chemical codes. And then you have a 3D topological code. And then on top of that, you have a metabolic cofactor code, right? And that metabolic cofactor code is working through real-time inputs. Real-time inputs. ATP, NAD, SAM, trace minerals, etc. Right? In fact, let me see if I can bring up something on the big screen. Yep, here we go. There we go. Now, for whatever reason, StreamYard does not like Keynote, because whenever I share Keynote, that's when stuff goes crazy with my share screen. Right? But we talked about this, and it's good to be able to just bring it up like this so we can see this. Right? AI is running on the exact same architectural coding as you are. Right? A tokenizer, architecture grammar of transformations, a training regimen that writes parameters, right? So this is for real-time information to respond to your environment, your diet, whatever your emotional stress, whatever you got going on. Runtime inference engine and an operations layer, right? Your biology is exactly the same as far as we know it. You have your DNA, right, which functions as your tokenizer. You have your architectural grammar. You have your development, long-term and short-term optimization in response to your environment and your diet. You have your genome, your epigenome, proteome, right, which is your persistent state. You have your transcription, splicing, and translation, which translates to your runtime, processing and coding. And you have your signaling, your ATP economies, which translates to all of your, we probably spend the most of our time in that space, right? We probably spend the most of our time in that space. talking about diet. Right, let's go back to that. Hold on, let's look at that. Where do we spend our time? Right? Okay, so when you when we focus on protein, we are in the first part of the code, right? That's what DNA's job is. Protein structuring, right? So when we talk about protein, we're here. We're dealing with the tokenizer, right? We're dealing with the tokenizer, right? And to some extent, we over here as well, translational grammar and execution, right? When we are having lifestyle conversations, we're here, right? We're over here, especially when we talk about reproduction and things like that, right? When we lean more into the diet and the exercise, we're in the epigenome space, right? Methylation, conversations like that. Once we get into cellular respiration and metabolism, or maybe we having a different type of conversation and we're talking about spirit, inspiration, right? Those things would all be here. Signaling. Those would be in the signaling space, right? So this is why it's important to have this information in our back pocket. And when I say in our back pocket, where we can grab it and do what we need to do. Because creation happened only one time. Creation only happened one time. After that is reproduction. Creation happened once. After that is reproduction. Right? Unless you step outside the box for a second. If you step outside the box for a second, here's what this means, right? Here's what this means. The code is the informational system. The code is the informational system, which means that instead of reproduction as a system of copying, right? We're looking at array production, right? We're looking at array production. We're looking at ongoing creation. Creation is not ended. Creation has not ended. It is an ongoing process. It is an ongoing process, which is the reason why I'm always looking around for a book. When do we have too many books? What's the limit? What's the limit? In the beginning was the way. Okay. You are not here. In the beginning was the way. I'm looking for the Ma'at book. That's what I was looking for. I don't actually need it though. But I was looking for the Ma'at book just to reference the fact that science agrees with us. Boom. So if you don't have this book, you need to go get this book. Just to reference that modern medical schools agree with us. This is why doctors speak the language of probability and statistics. They speak the language of probability and statistics because creation is an ongoing production. This is why we have people that beat the odds. This is why diseases manifest the way they do, because they're being created, they're being produced. Health, wellness is being created, is being produced. Right? It's being created, it's being produced. So we can look at our, had a conversation yesterday with a PhD, and he's a PhD in psychology. He's a PhD in psychology, and he was very interested in what I got going on. That's crazy. He's a PhD in psychology, very interested in what I got going on. But we were talking about the concept of phenomenology, right? Phenomenology. Get that word in your mind. Phenomenology. Phenomenology is the actual textbook term used when describing the ability to create a narrative, right? Creating a narrative, changing people's perspective, right? Phenomenology, right? We just watched that with the debate, right? In order to win the debate, phenomenology, right? Change perspective. We're not talking about the actual debate that's on the flyer. We're talking about some other debate. Phenomenology, right? So we can change our perspective, right? We can change our perspective. Yeah. We can change our perspective. From reproducing, cloning, to creating brand new. Brand new. And that has a profound, a very, very different impact. Because cloning is almost akin to being a victim. You got what you got. You stuck where you at. You can't come up. Creating a new production every time, that's very different. Because you're not stuck with what you got. You're not stuck where you at. You can get some brand new material every time. You can have a brand new outcome every time. Probability and statistics. You're not trapped with an outcome. Probability says this is the trajectory. Probability says, based on the laws of physics, this is what's happening. Right? Because the laws of physics says, this is what the laws of physics says, and this is where the laws of physics meets probability. Right? The laws of physics. Right? It's a big rock. Right? That's the ground. Here's a little tiny person right here. All right. In order for our little person to move this big rock, this little person is going to have to generate a force. A force strong enough to overcome the inertia of this big rock. The rock, the interaction and the attraction of everything around it, gravity, if you will, all the above. Right? Now, probability, this little person, without any tools, without any help, not going to be able to move that rock. Now, let's say that the rock is not sitting still. Let's say that the rock is actually rolling at a high speed to this little person. Well, we see what this looked like. This wave is about to get flattened. This wave is about to get flattened. This wave or system of waves is about to become a flat line. Right? Because this big boulder is getting ready to crush this person. This person will very, very quickly need to have a large amount of force or some tools or some help, because it's right here. It's not like as if the rock was maybe way back here and the person had time to figure this situation out. Right? The rock is right here. What we getting ready to do? And it's a two-dimensional space. So it's not like the person could jump over here and the rock could go by. No, right there. So technically, because the person's still alive, they have a chance. But not a high probability. A gambling person is gambling that that rock is going to kill this person, if not severely injure them, because they're not going to be able to get out of the way of this rock rolling at them at maximum speed, and they this close. But that's not to say that it's impossible. It's not to say that it's impossible. That's not to say that the ground doesn't shake, right? The ground doesn't shake, and maybe there's something here that throws the rock off course, breaks the rock down. It's probability. Anything can happen. Now, because this is hypothetical, we can add a tool in. Because it's hypothetical, we can add a tool in. Yeah, we can add a tool in. Boop. Because it's hypothetical, we can add a tool in. Or the same way as we put this rock into motion with arrows, right? We can move our person. We can move our person and give our person some time. The more time a person has between them and the boulder, right? Even if we put the arrows back, right? The more time a person has, the more options they have, right? The better tools they can make. They can change the landscape. They can change the landscape to the point where the boulder now winds up here. They don't even have to go anywhere. They can change the landscape. That's probability. That's all health is. That's all everything really is in life, is probability. Because we're creating as we go. Now, what we're also doing is documenting outcomes. We're documenting outcomes so that we have a list to go back on and say, well, if this happens and this happens, then this happens. If P, then Q. If P, then Q. And we build up a massive list, a database, so we can start to make predictions. And the predictions are so that we can better prepare ourselves. Right? That's literally what science is about. But we can't make the best predictions, the most efficient predictions, until we get out of this space. Because this is where 99% of us are. Right? 99% of us are here. We need to get out of that space. Right? We need to get out of this space. That's what the books are for. Get out of this space right? And then learn about this space, right? And once we learn about this space, once we learn it, we can get out of it, right? Once we learn about that space, we can get out of it. And we learn about that space and we get out of it. And then we can learn about this space and get out of it. This is the game. Clean slate. That's the game. That's life. To learn our way backwards. By the time we have to get out of these shells. A, to extend the time that we have in the shell, right? So we can enjoy ourselves and do what we need to do down here, right? So we can enjoy ourselves and do what we need to do down here. So we can become, right? So we can become right? Right? And then we can become designers. We can start writing the software. We can start creating hardware and writing software, which is what a very small fraction of the world is doing right now. Right? And then we can decide the landscape, what we want to put on the landscape. What we want to do is we can put this boulder, on top of a treadmill. We can put that boulder, that same boulder that would have rolled over us and squashed us. We can put that boulder up on a treadmill by using leverage. See, the knowledge gives us leverage. The knowledge gives us leverage. Now we can put that boulder on a treadmill. And what is it called when you have the boulder on a treadmill? No, listen. What is it called when you have the boulder on a treadmill? If I make the boulder carbon, and I make these attachments to the carbon copper, this right here, this attachment from the treadmill to this carbon rock is copper. So we have carbon and copper. What is this? I just turned that boulder into a generator. I just turned this boulder into a generator. Now, my obstacle in life that was shortening my lifespan, about to kill me. I turned it into a source of power. So now that boulder can continue to spin and it'll go nowhere. In fact, not only will it go nowhere, it will produce power. So not only am I free from running away from the boulder, but now I can use the boulder to do some other things with my free time. All right.
Found you, found you, found you, found you, found you, 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 you. You know the hundred two, who with the voodoo, around you or through you, from the Jew with the juju. On the street, truth preaching, God is the wave. Bible cracked open, but the scriptures engraved. Give me birth, the stars, quantum thoughts behave. Your heart pumps Christ, inspirations are crave. Diabetes or sugar coated sin. Syrup in the veins, bitter battle begin. Yeah. Spiritual warfare, the weapons within.
All right. I want to skip down. I want to skip down in the Black's Anatomy book. Because we are in the Black's Anatomy book. I want to skip down to the chapter on the heart and the brain. Bum, 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 bum. All right. All right, so there's a lot more creation going on, right? But I specifically want to talk about, or maybe just highlight, the day 22, or at least starting with day 22, or maybe a little bit before that, right? Day 18, right? Day 18 in the embryo, new baby, is where your neural plate begins to form, right? The neural plate begins to form. This is the origin of what's going to be the Jed pillar, right? This is the origin of what's going to be the brain and the spine, right? And then on day 22, probably one of the most miraculous events in developmental embryology happens, right? The heart tube is beating, right? Day 22 is when you have a actual little tiny heart, right? Your earliest kind of independent beating actionable little tube, right? Because the heart is kind of like a a complex crazy straw at this point, right? And then from day 22 on, right, you get the neural folds, then the neural folds begin to fuse, right? And this is where you get your central nervous system development, right? Right around the heartbeat. The neural tube closes, and on the front end, it swells up and you get your brain vesicles, right? You get the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain, right? You get the proencephalon, the mesencephalon, and the rhombencephalon, right? Now this is within the time of a woman's cycle, right? This is less than a month. As you start to go past 30 days, the vesicles continue to divide, right? And you get 5 secondary vesicles, right? The telencephalon, the diencephalon, the mesencephalon, the metencephalon, and the myencephalon, right? This is where your brain starts to, it starts to look like it starts to look like a little brain, right? Then you get the cranial nerves begin to start forming week 6 and 7, right? And you start getting electrical activity. You start getting sparks, right? After that, by week 8, the shape, the geometry is already there. The geometry kind of encodes the behavior of everything else. Because remember, energy, the movement of energy is based on the shape of the structure the energy is confined to. The movement of energy is confined by geometry. So that's why you get form denotes function. Tony, come here for a second before you do anything over there. Huh? Yes. Good morning. Hi. You look very beautiful. Can you close that door for me? Oh, I see. All right. You good. So let's bring it back. In the beginning, the brain rises from water. At just 2 weeks, the embryo is nothing more than a trilaminar disc, right? You got the 3 layers of flesh. The embryo, the ectoderm above the notochord begins to feel the pull of fields, right? So when we talk about fields, we're talking about waves, right? We're getting to the other part of the conversation. right? We're getting to the other part of the conversation. Because remember, and we've been having so many of these conversations for so long. Right? Look on the cover of the Codex. We've been having so many of these conversations for so long. Okay. Note to self. Pick those books up. Right? Remember, life is light. And light is light, and we measure that. From here, this is the special place in the square. This is the special place in the square, right? Because of this. Signifies this, right? The 90-degree angle. Right? Here's our cross. Here's our cross. Right? From the cross is where light is generated. Right? So what is here? Electric, magnetic. Right? You have electric fields and magnetic fields. Here, where they cross, the 90-degree angle where electric fields and magnetic fields cross is where light is generated. Light is generated from a cross. Of electric fields and magnetic fields. Electric fields and magnetic fields are the driving forces of life. So when we're having this conversation, right, and I rewind it back, and we start to introduce the concept of fields. The primary fields are electric and magnetic. Electric and magnetic. And we measure those fields. We understand those fields in terms of waves. We understand magnetic fields and electric fields in terms of waves. This is how they work. I hope we follow it. I hope we follow it, right? Okay. So we're gonna rewind it back, and we're gonna come forward again, right? So we started around day 18, right? Day 18, obviously everything is a process, right? But day 18 is typically when the neural plate is forming. Now, if you don't have this book, go and get the Black's Anatomy books. You have to have the books, people. Go to Amazon right now, add the Black's Anatomy books. There is 5 of them. Go and put them all into your cart pronto. Check out. Right? The neural plate is forming, which is going to be the brain and the spinal cord. Right? This is from the ectoderm. Right? You have an ectoderm, a mesoderm, and an endoderm. 3 layers of skin. 3 layers of skin, right? That you are formed from. 3 layers of skin, right? The outer layer is the ectoderm, right? Day 22, the heart tube is fully formed and beating. That is the most special day possibly. As you move on, the neural folds rise and begin to form the neural tube, which is going to be your primary like ground zero for your central nervous system, right? From there, you're going to get your 3 formations. Now, pay attention, because in the Kemetic stories, life begins with the 8. All throughout your biology, the 8 is quietly there. The 8 is symbolically there always, right? You have 4 ventricles in the heart, 4 ventricles in the brain. You have 8, right? As the brain is developing, you have 3 primary ventricles, and those 3 develop into 5 more. 8, right? So it's just a number that continuously repeats itself, right? So you have around the 28th day, the formation into the primary 3 vesicles. By the time another week goes by, you have further subdivisions, right? By the time week 6 and 7 comes, you have the cranial nerves start to pop up. By week 8, you have a little tiny brain, okay? Now, the brain comes out of the water, right? The brain comes out of the water. At 2 weeks of life, the embryo is just 3 layers of flesh, right? The ectoderm above the notochord, which is the precursor to what later on will be the brain and all this stuff. But the notochord starts to become impacted by these fields, right? These fields, right? What are we talking about? Okay. I'm going to slow it down and rewind it for you. Remember earlier we talked about in the 1960s, they discovered the DNA. They thought they knew it all. Later, they figured out no such thing as junk DNA. And we have a lot more codes, a lot more information sources and exchanges going on than we had previously thought, right? One of the things that was discovered was that the 64 codon code in the DNA is only responsible for building proteins. That's it. It doesn't have it doesn't have geometric information. It doesn't have math. It doesn't have sequential information. It doesn't have architectural information. There's a lot of information that's required to build a human body that's not in the DNA. So what we know now is there is a interplay between the fields that are generated at the subcellular level. This is all quantum mechanics, right? This is all quantum mechanics. The fields are governing the building of the proteins, how the proteins are translated, where the proteins are placed, how they're shaped, how many there should be, right? The timing, all of those things. And that's happening through the water. So the water becomes the primary builder of the body. The water becomes the primary builder of the body. You have one cell, right? One cell. Sperm from a man fertilizes the egg from a woman. That's it. You just have that one cell. That one cell inside some water. Right? And then that one cell is going to replicate itself so that there's a lot more genetic material. And then you're going to have branching out, right? Or separation take place, where now you're going to have 3 layers of that original cell's clones. You have an ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Now, these are primarily the stemcellious stem cells that there are, right? Pluripotent times, 1,000. So they can differentiate into whatever at this point, right? But the process has normalized, and so the ectoderm cells do this, the mesoderm cells do that, the endoderm cells do the other. Everybody's got their marching orders, right? Everybody's got their marching orders, and so boom, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing, right? But the fields acting through the water on the cells are guiding the replication process, are guiding the construction. Okay. The nodal cord is not just a rod of cells, it's a conductor releasing sonic signals and ionic currents that change membrane potentials in the cells above it. Water molecules in the ectodermal sheets align with their dipoles rotating into ordered domains. Meaning, the water molecules have positive side and negative side. So water's dipole is able to function in a way like binary coding in response to the fields to direct the behavior of. So even if you think about the proteins, right? Proteins are chains of amino acids, and those chains of amino acids are either hydrophobic or hydrophilic, which means they love water or they hate water, right? The parts that love water are attracted to water. The parts that hate water are repelled from water. So water, in essence, is a biological magnet, right? It functions as a magnet for organic material, organic matter, right? So it either attracts or repels amino acids. And the ability of water to attract or repel amino acids is what gives water the ability to do, the origami, right? What we call protein folding. That's how water takes strings of amino acids and folds it up into different all of the different protein structures we have. And then you have obviously certain things where, like all finished proteins have their hydrophobic parts on the inside and their hydrophilic parts on the outside, right? Which means that every protein in water is constantly separating the charges of water, allowing water to produce a current so that the protein, once fully formed by water, is able to use water as a power source. I'm going to rewind that and say that again. Because water functions as a magnet to biological material, specifically to amino acids, attracts or repels them, all of them. They either attracted or repelled. That is how water does the magic of protein folding. Once a protein is fully formed, right, it's went through its binary, tertiary, quaternary structures and all that, the hydrophobic parts are on the inside, the hydrophilic parts are on the outside. That soaking of a hydrophilic little machine inside of water separates the electrons and the protons. So the protons go in one direction, the electrons go in another direction. The separation of the charges now allows that protein to use the water that created it as a power source, whether it's running on protons, electrons, or a combination of the two. Right? Now, mind you, this is the information that was missing, not the only information, but this is a part of what was missing in 1765 when we formed the first medical schools. In 1765, when we formed the first medical schools, this information is missing. There's no information about subatomic anything. There's no information about, grand opening, grand closing. There's no subatomic anything. So if there's no subatomic anything, a lot of what we may attribute to racism isn't racism, it's ignorance. Because if we don't understand an electron or a photon, it's not possible that we can understand a pigment outside of anything more than what Darwin said. It's just coloring. It's just differentiation, right? Yeah. So at that point, we can't argue that science taught that pigment was a waste product because there wasn't a purpose for it. Pigment only becomes useful when you understand that there are electrons and photons, because that's pigment's primary job, is to translate electrons and photons into usable forms of energy and or information. So if we don't know that there are subatomic particles, we don't have a purpose for pigment. And if we don't begin to find out that the body is running on coding until the 60s, even when we understand pigment, we still can't understand what the processing part is. That energy also is information. So there's a powering aspect for translating electrons and photons into biology, but then there's also an information part. So yeah, that part. So the thing is, and this is where we get into a real historical framework. This is where we get into a real historical framework, and it's really more enemies than anything else from here on out. It's really more enemies for a little while than friends. Right? There's a time period where we all holding hands and you make a lot of friends in that space. Then there's a time period when you start saying things that people don't know and don't understand. And it's just really more obstinate. It's going to get real oppy outside. It's going to get real oppy outside. Because when people find out, that religious texts are actually scientific texts, that inspires fury. People get infuriated. People get infuriated because you have some people that have become infuriated because that's very empowering. Because when you find out that religious texts are scientific texts, that means that the religious texts are accurate. That gets scary. That gets scary, and that's infuriating to people who take advantage of your ignorance. Then you have people getting infuriated because organizations that they may have built may be built on, I'm not going to say lies. Just like we look back, and as a person who was in militant mindsets and organizations over time as I grew up, where you go, the white man is the devil, or you blame everything on the white man, or depending on your country, right? For us, it's the white man, you know what I'm saying? But for people in India, it might be the brown man, you know what I'm saying? It's a little different over there. But my point is, you blame the people in power for your conditioning, and you say that they've set things into motion strictly on that basis. And so when we look back and we saw that pigment was defined as a waste product, and then we saw Black health at the bottom of the food chain. Well, one served as evidence for the other. This is by design. When you learn a little bit more, you go, well, there probably definitely were certain things by design, but I'm not sure if everything was done by design, because based on the lack of information, it's not possible for them to have planned to weaponize melanin in the 1700s, because they didn't understand subatomic, they didn't understand waves yet. They didn't understand photons and electrons. They didn't know what nutrition was. They didn't know what water was. Water molecules wasn't established as hydrogen and oxygen until the 1800s. So it's not possible for them to have created a master plan to weaponize pigment against, because they didn't even know what it was or what it did. So in the same respect, we would have to throw out some of our religious conspiracy theories, because all this time, people that we take as religious scholars, people as we take as religious authorities, whether it's your imam, your pastor, your reverend, your monk, they ain't know what they was working with all this time. They didn't know that your ancestors were intelligent enough that when they sat out to articulate creation and maintenance of the universe, that they were smart enough to figure it out. Which to me is the ultimate level of arrogance, because we figured it out. And why are you gonna say we dumb as hell? But I mean, if you think about cigarettes and you add that to what we're doing with the ocean and what we're doing with the atmosphere, we're not that bright. We're not that bright as a group. We're not that bright as a group, right? So you look back and you see people who build pyramids. We shouldn't be in awe that they were able to figure it out. Now, the only problem is they use different wording. They use different wording when addressing creation. And that's where colonization does come back in. Colonization comes back in here because the Greeks began a process that changed the landscape of intelligence forever. Because they inherited intellectual property that they didn't understand, they created a new standard of intelligence. In Kemet, it was functional. In Kemet, it was about simplification. Beginning with the Greeks, things went in the opposite direction. It was about writing things down. So if you could write down on paper a specific concept, an idea, that became the more important thing than if you could actually utilize that idea and build a three-dimensional structure. So the math written on paper became more important than the math left in the stones. And as the Roman Empire takes over from Greece, the Roman Empire becomes the German Empire. Or maybe the German Empire became the Roman Empire, but that's one group of people. And so what we have is a lineage from Greece, Rome to Germany to modern science. But that's an unbroken lineage where they're studying things, figuring things out, and then putting their names on it. So it really should not be that crazy or big of a leap to understand where the roots of these things come from. So as people challenge you and go, yeah, but they didn't have calculus and algebra equations in the Bible. They didn't have calculus and algebra equations in the the Pert Emheru, or the weighing of the heart. They didn't see, they can't play as much games with Kemet. They got to watch their mouth a little bit, because they say, oh, well, they didn't have equations in the papyri. You go, We definitely have the Moscow papyrus and the Rhine papyrus and the hold on, champ. We actually, but because in the biblical context, we only have the one book, right? But in Kemet, more important than the papyri, we also have the structures. We have the temples, we have the pyramids, we actually have the living geometry. And the thing about algebra and calculus is that algebra and calculus come from geometry. Algebra and calculus is written out geometry. So you analyze the geometry and you write out what you're analyzing, and you have calculus and you have the algebra. But they don't come first. They're not primary. The geometry is the primary. So we have the I think they are equations, just a different language, even in Pert M. Heru mathematics. Absolutely. That's what geometry is. But geometry can't be simplified to equations. Right? Geometry can't be simplified to equations. That's the limiting factor of an equation. The limiting factor of an equation is that it's highly specific. It's this. Geometry doesn't have that, because you can take for instance, you can take a cube, and there is a cube. I want to be right and exact. Matter of fact, let me come out of the book. I'll come out of the new book for y'all. This is in the new book. The new book that's not out yet. Right? An equation is a hyper-specific detail. An equation is a hyper-specific detail about one aspect of an actual three-dimensional shape. A three-dimensional shape is a whole story. It's a story. We can take a cube, a six-sided cube, and tell almost an indefinite amount of stories, especially if we're adding a little sauce to it. We put a little drip on it, we can make up a zillion different stories about a cube. But an equation, you can't do that with, because an equation is going to take one aspect of this cube and it's going to hyper laser focus, zoom into it. And so nowadays we teach with equations. Back then we taught with geometry, which is the reason why everything was taught in simplified story form. Simplified story form, because equations are designed to block out the ignorant. That's what a code does. A code is designed so that even if 1,000 people see it, only the people that have the key to the code will be able to translate the information. So a code is something that can sit out in front of everybody and only a handful of people understand it. That's an equation. A story can encapsulate multiple codes. You can take multiple equations, multiple codes, multiple data points, and weave them into a story. And the same way you need one key per code, when you put multiple codes together, you need multiple keys. So when you go through the story, there's multiple levels of understanding that you can grab from the story. So on one level, the story is about the origin of matter. On another level, that very same story is about the origin of flesh. On another level, that very same story is about the origin of consciousness. On another level, that very same story is about the origin of the moral code, what you should do with matter, with flesh, with consciousness. How should you best take care of them? How should you not violate the fragile rules, the fragile systems that have all integrated to work together to create matter, to keep working together, to create flesh, to keep working together, to create consciousness, to keep working together to make you able to be conscious of your consciousness, which is a different level of consciousness. That's the level of consciousness required to create, to become a co-creator. Now we are content creators, pun intended. We content creators now. So we have self-referral. We have the ability to observe ourselves. And in observing ourselves, now we have the ability to make tools to advance ourselves. But we have to have a code intact because we have systems laid on top of systems and they're all fragile. And if we get too crazy, we'll, like Sudoku, right? We get too crazy, we'll pull out a log and the whole program of. But it's very, 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 very oppy outside because now we at the part where now we at a different part of the game. That's all I can say. We at a different part of the game now.
Found you. Found you. Found you. Found you.
Yeah, so you're correct. You're correct. Jenga, not Sudoku. I don't know I don't play them games, so I don't know. But y'all know what I was talking about. But Jenga, thank you for the correction. Now, here's a part of the reason we talk about, like you hear the new song. You know, the songs, the books are the food, the songs are the vitamins. Make sure you go to Barnes and Nobles and get that book. We got to get support at Barnes and Nobles around this book. The book at Barnes and Nobles is very important. So if you got a copy, go get another copy. It's Christmas time. You should be passing these books out for gifts anyway. But in the new book, we go back to one of the old books. Y'all know how we do. Right? Y'all know how we do by now. Right? We go back to this book. Right? Mountain being Jew, right? Because the craziest thing is that in Kemet, even the Bible and like these, once you learn the key, right? Which is what I'm the janitor. I'm the janitor. I'm out here cleaning things up, passing out keys. You know, the janitor got mad keys. You know, the janitor got mad keys on their keychain, right? So I'm out here passing out keys. I'm the plug. I'm handing out bricks. Yeah, I'm passing out keys, right? So we could be, I'm either the janitor, if that works for you as an analogy, or I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy on the block. You know, I'm Poppy in the neighborhood. I'm the plug. I'm passing out keys. However you want to do it. Or I'm the locksmith. I'm the hardware store. Yeah, you come to me to get keys made. You know what I'm saying? Like however you want to work this. Right? You come to the hardware store to get keys made, right? So once you get the key, the information coming out the story is like, it slows down for you. It's like Neo in the Matrix. You start looking at you know what I'm saying? Like how things is going fast for everybody. Once you get the information, you looking at, it's like everything is mad slow and super simple. You like, wait a minute. In Kemet, they did tell us about the mound. But who told us it was a mound, though? Who told us it was a mound? How we know that's the intended communication? How do we know a mound is the intended communication? We don't know that. We don't know that. We do not know that a mound is the intended communication, right? Because at the time, we don't have any concept of waves. Rosetta Stone people translating Rosetta Stone don't know anything about subatomic particles and waves and none of that yet. None of that's even introduced. So the only concepts we have to translate the information is mountains or mounds, right? Mountain is kind of like rigid. The mound is round. But what we get from Kemet is this. We get this. And this is where Ray, Atum, this is where Ray, Atum, and Ptah operate from. Ray, Atum, and Ptah operate from the wave, and Kepra is the wave. Kepra is the wave. Kepra is the wave. We get this as the Kamenu. Got it, Paul. Yeah. Okay. Yo, I'll be saying the best stuff with the mic on mute. I just want y'all to know that. Listen, what I'm saying is in Kemet, right? When they got the Rosetta Stone and start translating all this stuff, we didn't have a concept of waves. There's no understanding of subatomic particles at this time. There's no quantum mechanics at this time. So it's not even possible to add in the possibility that these people had a concept. Even though we know the Kamenu fits the description of pure potential. And then from there, we get a wave, right? A mound, right? Which is the same as a wave crest. Which is the same as a wave crest, right? This wave is Kepra. Operating from the wave is Ray, Atum, and Ptah.
From the Jew with the juju. On the street, truth preaching, God is the wave. Bible cracked open, more the scriptures engraved. Give me birth, the stars, quantum thoughts behave. Your heart pumps Christ, inspirations of crave. Diabetes or war, sugar coated sin. Stir up in the veins, bitter battle begin. Spiritual warfare, the weapons within. Faith in the blood, watch the healing spin. Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew. From the Jew with the juju. Shindos are the strings, the violin weak. 808 rumble deep, shaking soul through steam. Bebop with shadows, a nocturnal leaf. In the sound heaven speaks, so in faith to read. Mountain Dew. You noodle and I'm doodle. Who with the voodoo? Around you or through you? From the Jew with the juju. Electron transport evidence. God is music is resonant. Like tuning force vibrate. Music cross the tri-state. Why hate? Heat, carry, metal. Aromatic rings never settle. They call it quantum tunneling. We call it hustling. Water bring the muscling. Phone China juggling. Yeah. Fix your face or what's up with him. Struggling, play the crib close. Yeah. The Bible is about big blows. The mound is the sound. Wave you a clown. Get down or lay down. Search from a drown in the beginning was the stage you best behave. The most talented performer is the wave. Act your age and mind trap. Follow me. If you wanna get free, we outside. You never did. The block is the square. The cross is the sight. Birth of the light. 3, 4, 5 photons take light. What happened? God rapping. Waves clashing. Sending on business we fashion. He said we now ATP. Recycle sound and light is made to be the great MC. Skate on me. Make quantum equations ABC. It's state degree. It's fake to me. Do you do what you do. This Haitian voodoo. From the Jew with juju. What you know to what you knew to what you knew to. I'm true to with the voodoo around you. What do you the Jew with the juju? Don't let me spook you. It's crucial. Cock a book shoot you. Have you look Google like a gorilla glue? The wave is the juju. The wave is the juju. The wave is the juju. The wave is you. From the Jew with the juju. you. On the street, truth preaching, God is the way. Yeah. Bible cracked open, more than scriptures engraved. Yeah. Came at birth, the stars, quantum thoughts behave. Yeah. Your heart pumps Christ, inspirations of crave. Yeah. Diabetes of war, sugar coated sin. Syrup in the veins, bitter battle begins. Spiritual warfare, the weapons within. Faith in the blood, watch the healing spin. Mount you, I'm the Jew with the juju.
Melanin versus diabetes, we in here. We discovered it. In the beginning was the wave. Melanin versus diabetes, we in here. Melanin versus diabetes, we in here. Melanin versus diabetes, we in here. We discovered it. In the beginning was the wave. The wave was with God, and the wave was God.
In the beginning was the wave was God, the wave was God, the wave was hard. Every step a symphony, timelines infinity, the wave erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history, articulated mystery, the wave is a remedy. God kissing me, listen to me, made history, flawless victory, they dissing me in misery. In misery, it don't get to me, but we made history. I gotta live it, my juices efficiently, bro, we made history. Magician tweet, we made history, rewriting industry, ain't no quitting me, bro, we made history, articulating mystery, clarify the vision, we dancing in victory, we made history, in heaven walk with me, in the waves swim with me, in the beginning was the wave was with God, the wave was God, the wave was hard, every step a symphony, timelines infinity, the wave erased injury, I'm the divine epiphany. We We made history. Articulating mystery, the wave is a remedy. God kissing me, listen, we made history. Flawless victory, they dissing me in misery, misery. Man, I made history, it don't get to me. Bro, we made history, I got a litter. My jewels used efficiently. Bro, we made history, history. We make history, rewriting industry. Ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history, articulating mystery. Clarify the vision, we dancing in victory. We made history, in heaven, walk with me. In the way, swim with me. In the beginning was the way was dark, the way was dark, the way was hard. Every step was symphony, timelines infinity, the way be erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history, articulating mystery, the wave is a remedy. God kissing me, listen, we made history, flawless victory, they dissing me in misery, misery. Mad, I made history, it don't get to me. Bro, we made history, I got a litter, my jewels used efficiently. Bro, we made history, we made history, rewriting industry, ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history, articulating mystery, clarify the vision, we dancing in victory. We made history, in heaven, walk with me, in the waves with me. In the beginning was the way was God, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step was symphony, timelines infinity, the wave erased injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history, articulating mystery, the wave is the remedy. God kissing me, listen, we made history, flawless victory, they dissing me in misery. Man, I made history, it don't get to me. Bro, we made history, I got a litter, my juice used efficiently. Bro, we made history, we made history, rewriting industry, ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history, articulating mystery, clarify the vision, we dancing in victory. We made history, in heaven, walk with me, in the ways with me. In the beginning was the way God, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step a symphony, timelines infinity, the wave erase injury. I'm the divine epiphany. We made history, articulating mystery, the wave is a remedy. God kissing me, listen, we made history, flawless victory, they dissing me in misery, misery. Man, I made history, it don't get to me. Bro, we made history, I got a litter, my jewels used efficiently. Bro, we made history, we made history, rewriting industry, ain't no quitting me. Bro, we made history, articulating mystery, clarify the vision, we dancing in victory. Bro, we made history, in heaven, walk with me, in the ways with me. Frontline God infantry, the wave is the ministry. Surfboard wizardry, frozen water liberty, truth defying imagery, geometric symmetry, standing wave mimicry. The wave is the energy, the trickery is slippery, the slippery was meant to be. Now I gotta hit the street, thank God for picking me to release the quickening. I made history is sickening, me and God be whispering, then I start the living spring. Bro, we made history, shining, glistening, emphatic christening. I found a missing link, everybody get in sync. Superstition is extinct, peer review what you think. Look how the haters link, don't forget the kitchen sink. The way glistening, the wave christening, the way the missing link. Wave get in sync, superstition is extinct, peer review what you think. Look how the haters link, don't forget the kitchen sink. The wave glistening, the wave christening, the way the missing link. Wave get insane, superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link, don't forget the kitchen sink. How I hit the beat, Christ is the living key. Take the grail, sip and see. Fish scale, flip a key. In the beginning was the way was the way, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step was symphony, timelines infinity, the wave erase injury. I'm the divine epiphany. Frontline God infantry. Wave is the ministry, surfboard wizardry, frozen water imagery, true defy imagery, geometric symmetry, standing wave mimicry. The wave is the energy, the trickery is slippery, discovery we're meant to be. Now we gotta hit the street, thank God for picking me to release the quickening. I made history is sickening, me and God be whispering, and that's why the living spring, bro. We made history, shining, glistening, emphatic christening. I found a missing link, bro. We body getting seen, superstition is extinct. It revealed to what you think. Look how the haters link, don't forget the kitchen sink. The wave glistening, don't pay the christening. I found a missing link, wave getting seen. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink. The wave glistening, the wave christening, the way the missing link. Wave get insane. Superstition is extinct. Peer review what you think. Look how the haters link. Don't forget the kitchen sink.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.